So I've been playing a bunch of the Overclocked mode in Call of Duty Vanguard over the past 2 weeks. It is still currently active in the game. I'm not sure if they're going to take it out at a certain point, but it's still been there for more than a week now. So I'm starting to feel like maybe Sledgehammer is finally listening and they are actually going to keep it as a permanent mode. Now, to be fair, I don't think that many people were asking for it to be permanent. I feel like I was one of the only people consistently asking for it. But I'm very glad that they might possibly actually be keeping it as a permanent mode because it actually takes Vanguard and turns it into a really great game, at least in my opinion. So if you don't know what the Overclocked mode is in Vanguard, it essentially is the exact same as any other mode in the game, but the health is increased. Now, I'm not sure the exact values on how much the health is increased, but the point is the time to kill is a lot slower. It feels more similar to something like Black Ops Cold War, and the base time to kill in Vanguard is definitely one of the faster ones we've seen in Call of Duty, especially when you take into account all of the damage increasing attachments in the game. So the time to kill ends up feeling extremely fast, which if you guys know me, you know I don't like that. I don't think it makes for good gameplay design. I think it makes the overall pacing of the match a lot slower, and it also just encourages the slower play style and makes it so rushing is just not very easy to do, or at least it's not encouraged whatsoever. So like I said, people don't really try to do it, and also it completely decreases the skill gap to the point where I don't think it really matters how good you are at the game. Really, anyone can perform well, or anyone can also just do bad. And playing this mode truly does show me how important time to kill is to a Call of Duty experience, because I didn't like Vanguard that much with the main game. I really don't. Like, I don't really think it's one of the better Call of Duties. I think it's probably my top 5 least favorite Call of Duties, probably somewhere in that realm. And playing this Overclocked mode with the slow time to kill, it genuinely feels like it's one of the best COD experiences I've had in multiplayer in a long time. Not counting Treyarch games, of course, because I always love those, but for the non-Treyarch Call of Duties, genuinely I think it's the most fun I've had in Call of Duty probably since like Infinite Warfare, maybe. It's just crazy to see it. I don't understand how it can get so much better just for one little change like that. It's really insane. There are still a lot of issues with Vanguard. Of course, having kill streaks instead of score streaks is not something I like. The squad spawns are still really bad as they were before. 10 attachments is ridiculous, especially with a lot of the ridiculous attachments in the game that just are really annoying to go up against. But those problems just don't feel as severe when I'm playing the Overclocked mode. I kind of just don't care about those problems anymore, and I'm just playing the game, and it feels like a classic Call of Duty experience. I'm having a great time pretty much every game. And there's a couple reasons for that, not just the whole time to kill thing. I also do feel like because this game mode does not have a large player count, it does really show. And when you're trying to find lobbies, you can tell there's not many people playing it because it takes a while to find a lobby sometimes. But the skill-based matchmaking does not feel nearly as strong playing this mode because of the lower player count. Now, I always say it's really stupid to try to say how a skill-based matchmaking feels because it's really hard to tell, but I can kind of see a difference here, especially when you're comparing it to the newest Modern Warfare 2. It just doesn't feel like you're stuck with the very similar type of players as often. I feel like I'm getting all sorts of players in my lobbies. There's been some lobbies where I feel like I'm playing against people who are not very good, like they really can't aim, and then I also get the lobbies with people who are insanely good, which is something I feel like people kind of forget to think about with skill-based matchmaking. The skill-based matchmaking system, if it works as intended, where it's trying to get you to play against players more similar to your skill level, then you're probably only going to have, again, people of your similar skill level. You're not going to have people worse than you, and you're not going to have people a lot better than you. And of course, that there's exceptions to every rule, so it's never going to be perfect, obviously. You're still going to get mixed lobbies even when the skill-based matchmaking is really strong. But what I've noticed here is that I'm playing against people who, like I said, are either way worse or way better. So it's not like I'm only getting easy lobbies. Some lobbies I get into in this mode, I'm playing against just the absolute biggest pros I've ever seen. Like, I can't even get on my spawn type of games, which I'm okay with having those type of games. I don't really mind having those type of games because you just try to do better. You just try to do better, and eventually maybe you can do something. And it's usually harder to get like nukes in those types of games, but you could still do something. And there's definitely been times where, yeah, I've been able to actually fight back against these really good players just because I was trying my ass off. And then eventually I get into a lobby where the people are not that great. And then it's just a kind of chill, laid back lobby. So it kind of just goes to show that not having skill-based matchmaking, or at least not having strong skill-based matchmaking, it does kind of make things a little bit more enjoyable, even if, again, I do understand why skill-based matchmaking exists. I always say this, I understand why it exists, I just don't exactly agree with it 100%. So playing this mode, I do wonder, is that what's making it more enjoyable, or is it solely the idea that the time to kill is a lot slower? It could be a mix of both, for sure. I definitely think it is a mix of both, because even when I get into the lobbies where I'm playing against really good players, I still do feel like it plays very, very well. And I think the point I want to get to for this video is simply that every Call of Duty should have this option for now on. I really do think they need to start doing this, because it will give every single type of player a version of the game that they probably will really enjoy. Because I think time to kill, it really is split with the community. I think a lot of people prefer the fast time to kill, a lot of people prefer the slower time to kill, and of course some people prefer something more so in the middle. So why not just give us everything? Why not give us the options to do this? You know, you have hardcore mode, you already have that. Give us the opposite of hardcore in every Call of Duty going forward. Give us the opposite of it, where it's a much slower time to kill. Like Modern Warfare 2 could definitely have that. They definitely could benefit from that mode. I would play the shit out of that mode. And, you know, in a Treyarch Call of Duty, they could do, you know, the core game, slower time to kill, but then you have hardcore, which is a lot faster, but then you maybe have another mode, maybe call it like, I don't know, softcore or something. That sounds so stupid. I'm joking. Don't actually do that. Treyarch, please don't do that. But call it something and just have it be an in-between time to kill between hardcore and core. And you have players who can play anything. And I know you're splitting up the player base quite a bit when you do that, but the player base is massive. Call of Duty is a massive franchise. They should not be afraid to split up the player base a little bit like that, especially if the game is supposed to be really popular, if it's going to get a lot of sales. I really wouldn't see the problem with them doing this. And like I said, it would give those competitive players who like the faster paced gameplay, they can hop into slow time to kill matches. If people want it to be a little more tactical, a little more methodical, they can go play their faster time to kill mode, and then the weirdos who play hardcore can go play hardcore. I'm joking. You guys aren't weird, but I do not understand the appeal to hardcore, I gotta say. I know personally there are so many Call of Duty games that could really benefit from having a slower time to kill. I think Call of Duty Ghosts is one of the CODs that I think can mostly benefit from it, which it did, because there actually was a mode called Heavy Duty that was introduced in that game a while ago. It was LTM, so it was only there for a little bit of time. I don't think it's there currently anymore, and even if it was still there, I mean, there's definitely not people playing that specific mode anymore. But when I remember playing it, it was a lot better than the core game, at least in my opinion. And that was one of my only issues with COD Ghosts. COD Ghost actually does have the fastest time to kill in Call of Duty history. I believe it's at least one of the top 3 fastest for sure. And that mode dramatically changed how I felt about that game. It actually made there be some sort of a skill gap to the game, and there was actually some decent gunfights, and it made the game also a lot faster, so you weren't having those incredibly slow matches that COD Ghosts was very much known for. So yeah, I think that would be awesome. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think time to kill has a big factor into how we enjoy our Call of Duty multiplayers? I feel like a lot of people do underestimate how important time to kill is to a Call of Duty experience. There's definitely some people who talk about it frequently on Twitter, but no one ever acts like it's one of the most important things into making the game fun or not for their own personal enjoyment. And I think it needs to be talked about more, because if it was talked about more, I think developers would do like what I was saying before, where they would give us multiple options to play, because it would make the more people happy than otherwise, you know what I mean? So I will see you all in my next video. Let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Peace out.